Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Lesson on Classics. This is episode number 2233 and episode number 2227. This one is a bit unique, discussing one graphic novel plus the remaining issues for this area's series. Okay? First thing we have is The Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection Volume 15, which is called Ghosts of the Past. It collects issues 259, 272, annuals 18, 19, and Web Spider-Man 1 and 6. I'm also discussing the issues for Amazing Spider-Man that I left to cover for this one for 200s and the in-between issue Web Spider-Man. Two issues book I'm not going to cover. 259, 265. 259 because part of the Orange Venom trade. 265 because debut of Sid for Sable. I've discussed that already. So we'll start with 260. By the way, book covered for the time period of December 1984 to January 1986. So right after the opening issue. Yeah, this is strange enough for this book. Like right after 259, we have an annual. And Amazing Spider-Man 18, which is this is basically the story where Jameson marries Marla. Yes, Jameson and Marla get married. Also, the Scorpion, John Jameson's here, who suffers some mental issues. And, Scorpion doesn't like happy because Scorpion's like miserable, so make himself happy as well. And here's the thing about this annual. This actually is, it's done by Tom Falco. Yes, now, the writers of these books, I forgot to mention, are Tom Falco, Stan Lee, Bob Layton, Louis Simonson, Craig Anderson, Peter David, Danny Figueroa, artwork Bob Layton, Ron Fritz, Greg LaRocca, Petty Cockrum, Sal Bush, Bob McLean, Mike Harris, and Mary Wisher. This annual mostly put, like Scorpion Takes the Bride, that's mostly put just all about Jameson's wedding to Marla. That's mostly what this annual is. It's a really good annual, ends on a good high note. And we'll straight back to 260, which features a return of the Hobgoblin. Yep. And of course, we deal with the Hobgoblin, the stuff with Franklin, who's seeing the symbiote, which sort of got separated in 259. So I have to deal with the Hobgoblin. Yeah, Hobgoblin's here for several issues. He's like the primary antagonist. Who is the Hobgoblin in the Mass this period of time? I think it's supposed to be Roger Kingsley, but I think he has an imposter. And then 263, nothing with the Hobgoblin stuff. This is the debut of Spider Kid. Yeah, this chubby guy who's a big fan of Spider-Man's, who claims he's Spider-Man, he just plays along with it. And it's a really interesting story. It's basically about a guy who's a chubby guy who's just lucky, gets a girl he likes, and, well, she breaks up with the guy who's bullying him, basically because she doesn't like bullies. So, and then we have Web of Spider-Man number 1, which this is basically the story that was very loosely adapted for Spider-Man 3. Most of it was Return of the Symbiote for one issue. Spider-Man gets basically a host of it. He bows. We also have a debut of the Volturians. People are thinking, who the heck are these guys? Well, here they are. They're a group of guys dressed as a vulture take on Spider-Man. And they have a story for the first few issues of the series, but we'll discuss more of those guys later. And of course, there's battles, and then would lead into stuff with Bells. This is the scene that was all happening for not only Spider-Man 3, but also the Spider-Man animated series. Ring bells, and the symbiote basically falls off, and supposedly the symbiote just evaporates. Supposedly dies, but then it comes back later on. Yep. Excuse me. And by the way, Spider-Man gets himself a black suit, thanks to, of course, his ex-girlfriend at the time, Black Cat. Takes on this weird guy here. Like a Red 9. This is, like I mentioned, his debut of Silver Sable, so moving on from that one. 266 features the Toad and Frogman in this issue. Yes, it's a weird issue. Yeah, who knows why Toad's here? You just see it, and the Spider Kid's here too. Yep. That's up with the computer. This is Peter David issue. Trying to chase the guy, and of course he ends up in the suburbs. Yeah, it's a weird one-shot issue. Him going to the suburbs, like something quiet, and then he just goes back to the city. And then we're up to Spider-Man number 6, which also is a crossover issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Features the Kingpin. Yep, the Kingpin is here. Now you're probably thinking, what is up with this building? This, believe it or not, this building was the office building where the Heroes for Hire had their base. Yep. Power Man and Iron Fist. Yeah, if you're curious, why is it gold? Why does it look like this? This is Secret Wars 2, mind you. Yes, Secret Wars 2. And this is none but the Beyonder because he wants gold. This leads into a 2-part storyline that continues this issue and the following issue. With an issue Amazing. All involving that golden notebook and of course a typewriter too. Very interesting issue that one is. Then we move on to basically 269 where he takes on Firelord. He takes on Firelord for a couple issues, 259 and 260. And the cover basically was cover this thing. Kevin Baker's like, Spider-Man, stop! You can't be Firelord. He's like, wanna bet? Yeah. After this Firelord for a couple issues. Then we have, let's see here. Then we have Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 19. This is the debut of Alistair Smythe, the son of Spencer Smythe. Yep. By the way, the one featuring name is a lot cooler than this guy. This guy is a chubby guy with like a unshaven face. He's just an inventor. Yeah, he only exists like this very briefly. Next time we see him, he's basically normal. Basically, the way the writer writes in this issue, he writes with a man-child. And the guy who wrote this issue was none other than Louis Simonson. Yep, writes Alistair Smythe as a man-child. Yep. And then he's beating this annual. All a headpiece. It's a weird annual. And it's mostly focused on Mary Jane Watson. That's mostly what this book is. And then we have 271, which features the return of Crusher Hogan. Basically, it's a follow-up to one of those follow-ups made in 15. It's the first 200 we bring back the burglar and bring back him. Yeah, and apparently, like, oh yeah, he appears for this one issue. And then, well, here's the thing about Crusher Hogan. After this one issue, he's never seen again except flashbacks. Yeah. In 272, we debut a new character named Snide, who's like this who thinks he's a speedster, who wants back for against the guy who bought his company, and then we deal with Puma, and that's it. This book is great. I love it. Give this book a 10 out of 10. Now, before I end this video, let's talk about basically the remaining issue 200 to discuss. That's what we're going to discuss basically here, along with a few issues of Web Spider-Man. Excuse me, next thing we discuss here are from Amazing Spider-Man 273, 277, and 282 to 288. Why am I covering these issues? Because I want to basically finish doing 200s and basically out of the 80s of this book. Yeah, first up in 273, we have Spider-Man team up with the Puma to take on the Beyonder. Yep. Oh yeah, and by the way, he does recognize Spider-Man's face. He's not pointing at he's Peter Parker. And of course, this continues in Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 211. No, seriously. Yeah, it's a quick, yeah, it continues there and it continues off another book. Yeah. Well, I'll discuss this one too. Yeah, most of the just basically Puma trying to take on the Prowler, take on Beyonder, who sends him to Tokyo of all places. Yes, sends him to Tokyo for reasons, and then of course basically he gets married to wants a piece of silk, and well, he deals with the Beyonder, and then well, now we move back to. Excuse me. Yeah, then basically in 274, this is a weird one where it involves appearance by Zorpheus. It's mostly another Secret Wars 2 tie-in. It's basically Beyonder meets Mephisto. Yes. And yes, this is years before the Super Warmer Day crap. And then we have the skull appearing in the sky. Who is a skull? That is Zorthos. Yes, the very same spirit of vengeance that possessed Johnny Blaze to become Ghost Rider. He appears in this issue here as basically this is what we did right after the Ghost Rider series wrapped up, issue 81. And then in 275, we have the return of the Hobgoblin. In this 37-page spectacular, well, I think it's like that, but nope, it's more like another retelling experiment. Like, he's in this issue here, but then we have cut to a partial reprint of Amazing Fantasy number 15. And of course, Spider-Man deals with the Hobgoblin, and that's pretty much. And we supposed to have. Oh, we have wrap up the storyline? Not really. He battles him and he amasses him finally. Of course, Flash Thompson returned to the storyline, deals with Shawshane. And of course, he basically is like. And of course, basically because. And we also get some about the human fly in this issue. Yeah, and basically Flash Thompson says about Hobgoblin he doesn't like, so he frames being Hobgoblin. Yep. And then basically in 277, basically, he doesn't believe the Flash Thompson is him. Don't worry, he gets cleared. Don't worry about that. By the way, in case you cares about 278, that's basically Scourge the Underworld tie-in issue, where the Scourge kills off the Wrath. Yeah, the brother of Jean Wolf. As for issue 282, this is an issue where Spider-Man takes on X-Factor. Yep, that's literally this issue. Basically, X-Factor is hired by Jameson to bring in Spider-Man because he thinks he's a criminal. They take him on, and basically that's that. Then basically 283, 288, we begin the Gang War story arc. Excuse me, yes. Actually, I think so. No, it doesn't. We have Spider-Man versus Titania and Absorba. Man. I think it's 284 begins the Gang War story arc. Yep, 284. War involves Jack-O-Lantern, Hobgoblin, and Jack-O-Lantern, and Hammerhead. We also got started in these issues by the Punisher, who fires on all sides, and also the Rose here as well. It's a massive event that also crosses over with the events of Daredevil Reborn. Daredevil Born Again, which is a very critically acclaimed storyline page of Daredevil, because Daredevil makes guest appearances in these issues. Yeah, it's an excellent story, one of my personal favorite stories, and yeah, it's all basically about the Kingpin of crime, and well, Will Smith comes back in the story on the side of the whole conflict. Yeah, it gets wrapped up by 280. It's only just a 5-part storyline. It's fantastic. Love it. All right. By the way, I give the issues of this book. I give all these issues basically. Let's see. I'm gonna give it basically the issues that feature Hobgoblin. Well, these issues in particular. I'm gonna give those basically a 10. Issues don't feature him basically a 9, but the Gang War, I give that a 10. Now we're next to discuss some issues of Web of Spider-Man, issues 2 through 5. Issue number 2, he takes on the Voltrinians. Now, one thing about the early issue of Spider-Man, they keep frequently referencing the events of Peter Parker's Second Spider-Man 100. I will discuss this at some point. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So, yeah, Spider-Man takes these guys on for this issue and I think like the following 2 issues. And they basically want to take on because they want to impress the Kingpin of Crime. Now, in case you're curious about what about Spider-Man, this series was launched as a replacement for a Marvel team-up. That's literally what the series was meant for. It's a replacement for it, and it didn't last as long as that one. So yeah, we did with the Voltrinians and the Vulture in issue 3. Excuse me, in issue 4, we deal with the return of Dr. Octopus this issue and the following issue. I'm like, okay, interesting. Now you might be curious though, who was the writer of these issues? Well, mostly put as Danny Fingeroth. Yeah, well actually, for issue 2 it's Louise Simonson. For issue 3 it is, well, Louise Simonson as well. Issue 4 is Danny Fingeroth. Excuse me. Issue 5 is done by Danny Fingeroth. Yep. And I really enjoy this stuff here. I heard this book was described sort of a villain's book per se, but this book is just really awesome. I give these issues a 10 out of 10. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it, particular view. Next up, I got 2 more comic corners, and I'm just going to go ahead and watch Bleach next. Okay? Next video. Bye.